Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. So today you're gonna hear a lot of noise in the background because the kids are playing in the background. But I wanted to sit down to kind of share with you guys what we are planning to do for homeschool this year. I get a bunch of requests, especially on Instagram, because I'm showing more of like the day-to-day what I'm doing with the kids. Just like on what we're using for homeschool, what curriculums we're using, what tools and resources, like all of the things. So I'm gonna sit down, dedicate some time to just sharing everything. So all of the curriculums that we're using for both Riley and for Jackson, and then some of the manipulatives and like kind of what our plans are for homeschool this year. If you guys happen to be new here, first of all, like thanks for clicking on this video. I'm Kayla. I'm a mom of 3. So I have a 5-year-old Riley, and then I have a 3-year-old Jackson, and then we do have a newborn. So I have a 1-month-old who's upstairs right now with dad going down for a nap. Let's see if I can get through this video. But Riley is going to be doing kindergarten with me at home this year, and then Jackson is in pre-K3. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with Riley, show you everything that I'm using for Riley. This is like our 3rd year going into homeschool. Yeah, 3rd year, because I did pre-K3 with Riley, pre-K4, and then now we're doing kindergarten. I'll kind of let you guys know what my approach is to homeschool. It's nothing super crazy. It's nothing super aesthetic. I know that it's very easy to get overwhelmed with homeschool, and like there's like all these things and all these curriculums, and all the homeschool pages look freaking beautiful, which is great. It's goals. It's really nice to look at, but that's kind of not the season of life that we are in. So if you're just like kind of looking to maybe dabble into homeschool, or you don't know what it looks like, or you want to just see some materials, then this is a video for you guys. I am going to leave a timestamp down below for when I start talking about the stuff we're using for Jackson, because maybe some of you guys just have a preschooler, or you just want some ideas of things to do for the younger ones. That way you can just like skip to there. But I'm also going to link in the description box my Amazon storefront, where I have like all of our materials, anything that I bought to like help the kids learn a concept, or any of the puzzles and workbooks. Pretty much like all the homeschool stuff and toys that I have for the kids is in my Amazon storefront. So definitely check that out if you want like a one-stop shop for things like that. So I'm gonna bring this little cubby thing of all of Riley's materials and just go through them with you guys. These are usually like over here in our homeschool cart area that you guys always see, and you're like, what's in there? So this is kind of what we do on the daily with Riley. So for kindergarten, our goals with Riley is to just focus on math and reading. Like if I can get through one math lesson and one reading lesson like per day, or like whenever it is that we sit down to do homeschool, that is the goal. My main focus is math and reading. To me, at this point, everything else is extra. You know, I don't have super ambitious goals because, again, I have a newborn. So I don't want to like get caught up with like, oh, we need to do a history lesson, and we need to do a geography lesson, and we have to do a Spanish lesson, like all of the different, classes or courses, like all at once. If we can get to it, we can get to it. And when we can get to it, we will. But right now, math and reading is my focus. And for those, we have been using The Good and the Beautiful. So The Good and the Beautiful, I have really loved for Riley. Just to give you an idea, we're almost done with the math curriculum just because we didn't take the summer off. So we continued working on homeschool like during the summer, because I knew that we were gonna have a newborn and that I might not be able to commit to like everyday teaching, and like, just to kind of stay ahead and stay on top of it. We kind of went through the summer, and Riley's already on lesson 112. And in this math curriculum, there are 118 lessons or 117 lessons? 118 lessons. So she has like 6 lessons left to really get through. This has been a fantastic curriculum. I've really enjoyed it. I'll flip through some of the pages here in a minute just so you can kind of see what some of this stuff looks like. The math curriculum comes with the workbook, and it also comes with this little box of manipulatives. They tell you to put some coins in because you're doing like coin work, but it comes with like these little number blocks and these little toy cars. It comes with some of these little sticks that they use for like 10 sticks and just like visual counting. That's what comes as like part of the physical curriculum. I found that, at least for Riley's picking up a lot of the concepts really quickly, but it's a very visual curriculum, and it's really pretty. It's really easy to work through. It'll tell you exactly like what you need to read to the child. Like this page over here says read to the child, tells you what to read to them. It prompts you through everything. I don't know if you guys want to like just pause it and kind of look at what one page looks like. It'll instruct you as a teacher, like it says write 4 minus 2 equals 2 on the whiteboard. So have a whiteboard, it tells you what to do. So as somebody very new to homeschool, I have liked this curriculum because it's all like here for you. Like there's really no guesswork to it. It's not like you have to know these concepts like on your own. I mean, at this point I do know because I know how to add and subtract, and I know money, and I know time. It's very easy, very simple, and Riley's responded really well to this. So on any given day, if I say, hey Riley, we're gonna do schoolwork today, she knows and she can expect that we're gonna do at least one of the lessons from here. Sometimes, like if it's really easy or really quick and she wants to continue, we'll do 2 lessons. Sometimes we'll do 3 lessons, depending on how quickly she's mastering the concepts. But we're at least doing one of these lessons. And then for language arts, this is also the Good and the Beautiful language arts. So this is what the workbook looks like. This one has 119 lessons, and we're already on lesson 74, again, just because we've continued throughout the summertime. So it comes with the workbook. It also comes with these little reading booster cards. You guys see these on my vlogs, and you guys see them on Instagram all the time. You're like, where are those little books from? It's part of the language arts curriculum. And so there's, I think, 19 or I think there's 20 books, and they're like little short story books. Unfortunately, some of mine have freaking coffee on them because Riley spilled coffee on them. But they're really short, pretty books that start going through like some of the words that they learn, you know, how to read. So really, like, my main goal in language arts is teaching Riley how to read, and she can already read these books. Like some of the more advanced ones, like when you get to, I don't know, like number 19 was like the newest one that we've read through. This one is a little bit harder, but she's still going through reading it, sounding things out. So this is like pretty much as complex as the books get. They don't get like too much more complicated than that. I think this is like the page that has like the most words on it. But it's been really good to see, like, as they go learning stuff in the curriculum, that then they can actually apply it and they can start reading the books. And watching your child learn how to read, you guys, that has been one of my favorite things about motherhood parenting. Like, it has been so cool to see like how she used to never be able to read anything, and now she can read through books. Like, to see the progress has been very rewarding. Anyway, these are part of the curriculum, and then it also comes with this spiral bound, what they call like the reading booster cards. So this is reading booster A, which just goes through different concepts that correlate with the curriculum. So we are on lesson 74, for example, and it tells me, it has like a target. It says like by this point you should be at reading booster card number 32. And we are ahead of that. We are at reading card number 47. So it's just a very easy curriculum to use, very self-explanatory. So don't freak out. Like, even if it looks like there's a lot of components, there's really not. Like, I promise you, there's nothing to this. When I tell Riley we're gonna do homeschool, I can literally just take out this workbook and this workbook and, you know, the reading books that I just showed you guys. And that's literally all that I would need for a day of homeschool. Like, I could take this to my mom's house, I could take this outside, we could take it to the park. Like, it's not like you need a million materials in order for them to work on these concepts. So we are working through that. The other thing that I purchased, since Riley's doing really well with her reading, I did go on their website, the Good and the Beautiful's website, and I bought some extra little reader books for her, because pretty soon she is going to be done with the reading booster A books, which I believe they have B and C. So there's other sets of those books that we can go buying as she continues to grow in the curriculum. Like, after the kindergarten language arts, then we'd go to the first grade language arts. But for now, I got her the kindergarten books, the Pet Pals, which are really cute. So these are just another like series of books that she can read that are like similar to the ones that I showed you, but they're just like a bunch of little stories about pets, like all in one little booklet. So same kind of difficulty, nothing too crazy, but she goes practicing and she starts becoming familiar with a lot of the words, and these she really likes. Again, they're bright, they're colorful, like they're really pretty to look at, and that's one of the things that we like about the Good and the Beautiful curriculum. It's not boring. I like it, and I'm the one that has to look at it all the time. So I'm a fan personally up until this point. Also have other books that you can buy. So I did also buy 2 other little like My First Reader books for Riley. This is My First Nature Reader. So it's another book like that that has to do with nature. So very simple sentences that she can go, you know, reading through. And by the way, I don't like get any money from Good and the Beautiful for showing you guys this. Like, the Good and the Beautiful, I don't have any kind of affiliate code. I don't have any kind of relationship with them. So if I'm telling you that I like them, it's literally just because this is a curriculum that I have enjoyed using. So just an FYI, I wish that I had some kind of affiliate code for them, but I don't think that they do that. But just so you know, all of this stuff that I have bought with my own money. So I got that nature reader. This is another one, my first Africa reader. So I just wanted to have a lot of little stories that she can read through, that she can even go reading through herself, that are like at the same level that I know that she's at. Like nothing too crazy, because then she'll like be frustrated. I think that these are all like at the same difficulty level, and it just gives her more ways to practice. And at the same time, you're learning about nature, you're learning about Africa, you're learning about the animals. We haven't quite gotten to these yet, but I'm hoping that we will, you know, very soon. So before I keep going and showing you like more things, I did just want to quickly just show you what some of these materials look like. So we are on lesson 74 for language arts. So we are, like I said, 74, and there's like 100 and something. So we're kind of like in the middle, maybe a little bit past the middle. And these are some of the concepts that we are working on. This says at the beginning to work on the reading booster cards for like 6 to 10 minutes. It says have the child spell the following words: he, she, we, me, which Riley can do at this point. These are all words here that she'll be reading. There's probably like a little prompt here and like an activity or something that she can read. And then this here says to try to write a new real word by replacing the first letter of the word with one of these letters. So making new words. This was a previous lesson we did where she had to spell these words. So she had to spell mop and web. There's also an app on the phone that you use. It's like the Good and the Beautiful. It's called Letter Tiles, and it's a really good app. It has like a bunch of little letters, and then you can hand the kids the phone, and they can use the app to spell words. So they like grab the little tiles, and then like they form the different words together. It's very interactive. That's like a great way to help them with their spelling. I'm just gonna flip through really quick just so you have an idea of what the curriculum looks like. There are some stories that you'll read to them, and then there's like reading comprehension. You ask them questions. At this point, you know, Riley's reading sentences. She's reading all of this on her own. This is like a build a word. So add, you know, the letter that would go at the beginning of each of those words, and you pick from the little yellow rectangle. But it does start very basic. So like lesson 1 is learning the vowels, learning the sounds of the vowels. And that's really how we started. And this isn't filled out because we did the first few lessons online. Like we went to their website and we printed out the lessons, because you can do that, by the way. You can get the lessons online for free from the Good and the Beautiful, and then you can print them at home. But at some point we were like, okay, I really like this curriculum, and so we're just gonna buy the book. But let's go back just so you can see it. So lesson 6, they're starting to read very simple words. Page over here says have the child circle the letter that the word for each picture ends with. So, you know, spoon, what does it end in? It would end in an N. So letter sounds, more vowels. So that's how they start, and they really, like, it's amazing how they go picking up on words. And then while I have the camera flipped this way too, I'll just skip through the math workbook too, just so you guys can see. But you do go over time. We've only done it to the hour at this point, but I'm sure at some point we'll go past the hour. We're doing counting by tens. That's something they learn. They learn how to count by tens, by fives, by twos. So skip counting, basic adding, and doing like, what do you call these things? The tally marks. But again, it does start very gentle. So this was lesson 3, and you're just still at numbers. You're still recognizing numbers. But now at lesson 112, we're at money, learning about the cents, counting by twos. Here's more clockwork, but still very gentle in my opinion. But look how pretty those pages are. Like, this makes me want to do schoolwork. I'm sure it makes Riley want to do schoolwork. This is all about symmetry. So I'm like a huge fan of this. Okay, so for the most part, that's math and reading. I did also want to tell you guys that because it looks like we're gonna be finishing Riley's math curriculum early, the other curriculum that I bought to kind of supplement her math and just to keep her going and to kind of review some of the concepts that we did in the Good and the Beautiful, I did buy the Horizons math for kindergarten. This curriculum, it looks like it's gonna cover a lot of the basic, like the same stuff, but you can see like how different curriculums, they look different, they have different styles. So this one is still in color, but it's a lot more just plain. It's a lot more like, hey, you're just like filling in the boxes, you're filling in the numbers. It's not as many of like those pretty pictures and like the artsy kind of, you know, vibe from the Good and the Beautiful's curriculum, but it's gonna go over a lot of the same concepts. So I think that this is gonna be really good practice for her and just, again, review. And I did want her to get used to doing schoolwork in different formats. So not just get used to the Good and the Beautiful's workbook, because as she continues with homeschool, like she may switch curriculums at some point. If she were to ever go into a physical school, like, you know, she has has to be able to be adaptable to different curriculum. So I wanted to like introduce her to something different just to make sure that she can still do the work and still understands the concepts. So we're gonna be doing this. From what I gather, like just from a quick glance, I do think that it's a little bit more advanced almost, like I want to say. Like it's not as gentle, and I think it doesn't even start off as gentle as The Good and the Beautiful. But I'll keep you posted on how we like this, but it is something that we are going to be starting soon. But the kindergarten curriculum, this is like the student workbook, and then this is the math teacher's guide. So I bought both just for me to understand what a teacher's guide looks like from Horizons. And that's like a difference in the curriculums, right? Like The Good and the Beautiful, everything is in one place. The teacher's instructions and the student's instructions are in the same workbook. This one has it separated for like the student and the teacher. But regardless, everything is like here and it's done for you, and it tells you what your supplies are, what you need, the concepts that you're teaching, what to write on the whiteboard, like how to, you know, basically teach these concepts. And then it looks like it has the answers for all the different workbook pages. In the back, there's also like these worksheets, which looks like, I don't know, maybe you can copy them and you can give them to the student, and it's like extra practice for the students on tracing, on writing. So that's what we've got going on for language arts and math. Like I feel like that's a lot that I just recorded just for that. But that's kind of like the main focus for Riley. I did also buy just a couple like extra practice workbooks. Like this is like a jumbo kindergarten workbook. Now that she can actually read, this might be great for her. At first I thought it was a little bit too advanced because she hadn't yet learned how to read. But now that she does know how to read a lot of these words, I feel like it's something that she's gonna really enjoy. It has a lot of different activities, very colorful, so it's just something extra that I can pull out, like if we're, you know, bored, if we're at home, or if she's done with her lesson, she still wants to keep going, then this is something that I can open up and give her a couple pages to do. And then a couple other things, I showed this the other day. We're working on this Spanish workbook. This is something that we don't do all the time, but it's something that we're gonna try to do, I don't know, once a week, if that, to kind of go over some of the Spanish concepts and to keep us like thinking about learning some Spanish words. Right now, Riley's doing colors in Spanish, and this workbook, it's just basically teaching them a lot of the pre-K. It says pre-K to first grade, but a lot of the preschool, kindergarten concepts like short and long, and then they have the Spanish word for it. As you get into it, there's like, you know, the human body and all the Spanish words for the different body parts and things like that. It's nothing too complicated, teaching them the Spanish words for like all the shapes and all the colors, left and right, like those basic concepts. That's what's in this book, even though it is pretty big. So we're just gonna keep going through it, and then if they can pick up on a couple Spanish words, then that would be fantastic. And then the last thing that I'll mention for Riley really is just when we have time, when we want extra things. I do have some science stuff for them from The Good and the Beautiful. Last year we had this Fields and Flowers, like Little Hearts and Hands curriculum that is like their science curriculum for this age group. It's very easy to use, and it just covers like a bunch of this, like the concepts that, like the kinds of things that interest my children at this point basically. So this one was the Fields and Flowers curriculum, which covers things like plants and butterflies and ants and snails and ladybugs and snakes. So each of those like lessons were very simple. It's usually like a little video that they watch, and then they answer some discussion questions, or if it's not a video, then it's reading one of the stories in the storybook and then answering questions. And then this year they also put out the big book of science stories for like winds and waves. So instead of like the outdoorsy, like, you know, plants and flowers and butterflies, this is all stuff having to do with like water and tornadoes and hurricanes and sharks and coral reefs. So same concept, same format as the other one, but just different things that you're learning about. So they can learn about sharks, which Riley will love, learn about bodies of water, weather forecasting, temperature, wind, rain and snow, rainbows, sand and seashells. What's a marine biologist? So that's kind of like what it looks like. You would read to the student, do a couple things, show them, you show them the videos that you, like they tell you where to go to find the videos, and then have some discussion questions. So all of that. So like I said, that's all extra stuff. It's just like when we have time, if they are bored, if they need something new and exciting, we have them here, and that's what I like to be able to like pull from. Right now, both of the kids are very much into just watching documentaries. So like a lot of the time that we're at home, especially now at home with the newborn, with the 1-month-old, I'll just turn on Disney Plus and go to the National Geographic little section that they have, and we just watch documentaries as a family. We have them on in the background. This morning they were watching one that was called like Venom Hunters or something, where it's like all these people that chase the snakes to get the venom to make anti-venom. And like the kids are learning, they're learning real life practical stuff from watching the documentaries. So it's not like child, like, I don't know, focus, or it's not like a kids show necessarily, but it's something that's educational that they're learning from. So that's the kind of stuff that we do a lot of here at home. Something else random that Riley's really into is drawing. So she is very into arts and crafts, even though that isn't something that, like, you know, I have a huge focus on, or that these curriculums have a huge focus on. I always, in my art cart, I have all of the arts and crafts, like materials. We have construction paper, we have markers, we have crayons, we have pom-poms, we have pipe cleaners. Like, I have all the materials here, and Riley knows that when she wants, you know, to just go ahead and make something, she can. The other day I was on the couch and Riley came over here, grabbed her stuff, and she just like made a little spider. Then she named him Long Legs and was like, how do you spell long legs? It's real long legs. But she got pom-poms, she got googly eyes. And were we doing like a lesson on spiders? No, but she was just creative and was like, I just want to make a spider today. And that's the kind of thing that I let her do. Sometimes we have, you know, specific crafts that we're doing. If there's a holiday, or if I get excited and I go on Pinterest and I'm like, oh, let's do this today, then we'll do something like that. But a lot of times it's just her on her own coming up with random stuff that she wants to do. And that to me is totally fine. I keep like all of her completed pages and stuff in that little art cart. So like the other day we were also watching The Great Mouse Detective. We became like almost obsessed with watching that movie. We watched it like, I don't know, 5 times back to back. And then she grabbed a paper and made like a drawing of The Great Mouse Detective, and she drew the characters, she drew their house. So that's the kind of stuff that I like to see her do, like just be creative, and like whatever it is that strikes her fancy that day, that's what she draws, or that's what she comes up with. But anyway, going back to this book. This book is something that I had gotten her for Easter. It was in her Easter basket, and this is just teaching her how to draw certain things. So it's super cute because it walks them through like step by step how to draw like a bunch of different things. See, it like shows the progression of like how to draw these things. So she keeps like all of her little drawings in there, her little examples of the things that she learns how to draw. And then as she goes doing these over and over again, see, she drew like a fish. Then she starts like memorizing how to do these things, and then she starts like drawing them in the drawings that she randomly does. And then this is something that we'll sit and we'll do together too, because like these are all of my drawings. So every once in a while she's like, let's do this together. Then I'll go and I'll draw the same things that she's learning how to draw. This was my most recent one, I think. This was like the newest updated. So we did like a monster, we did a whale, we did a turtle. So this is something just like fun and extra, you know, for them to actually learn how to draw, because I never learned how to draw. I didn't even know, like I still to this day can barely draw stick people. So this was a skill that I wanted her to have, because I have like memories, you guys, I don't know if you're the same. I have memories of being at school and they're like, draw a picture of the book that you're reading, you know, like draw a picture of the story that we just read. And I would be like traumatized. I'm like, I don't freaking know how to draw. I can't draw anything. I can barely draw a rock. Like, this is gonna be the worst picture of my life. I even remember like being really little and like bringing home homework, and I had to do the same thing, like having my mom draw the thing for me because I didn't know how to draw. So I don't want her to be in the same boat. I want her to learn how to draw just very basic stuff. So that's something that's just like fun for her to do. Right, so now that this video is like a million years long, and that's really the basics of like what Riley is doing, let's go ahead and move on to what I'm using for Jackson, because that one will be hopefully a little bit shorter. So for Jackson, this is Jackson's little cubby, and I've got his little name tag that I made him so he can start getting familiar with his name. I have the same one for Riley, but Riley obviously already knows her name. But for Jackson, like I said, he is in pre-K3, so next year we'll be doing another year of like preschool, so we'll do pre-K4. So what I'm trying to do with him is do a very gentle introduction to what it looks like to sit down and do some focused attention work, and to, you know, do some workbook pages. It's not every day. If we get to some simple instruction, even like once a week at this point, like sit down, focus, workbook kind of stuff, I'll be happy. But for him, I am using the same thing that I used for Riley for pre-K3, and that's the Horizons Preschool for 3 curriculum. So this is the majority of what I use. I do think I did a like flip through or like a review on the actual curriculum, so I'm not gonna go in depth to what this looks like here in this video. I will leave a link to that video in the description box if I can find it, because again, I don't want to be like repetitive, and if you don't even care for this curriculum, I don't want that to be like what this entire video is about. But I do like it. It's Christian based. I think I forgot to say that about The Good and the Beautiful too. It is kind of faith-based. This one though, more so, has more focus. In my opinion, it has more focus on like the Christian aspect of it than The Good and the Beautiful. But with him, what I've been doing is, first of all, there is a teacher's guide. There is a Bible story reader, and then this is the student workbook. So this is what Jackson will write in when we're doing our lessons. The curriculum only has 40 lessons. So if we get through one lesson a week, like this will be more than enough for him. What I've been really focusing on with Jackson is just like learning his letters. So every time that we sit down to do the workbook, I write his name, and then we go through, like I'll go pointing to him like what the different letters in his name are, so he becomes familiar with them. And then he does very basic things, like this is like a matching page where he has to like, you know, hold a crayon and match, and that's what I'm getting him used to, like holding a crayon, making lines, making circles, which he's been able to do. Like this page over here said circle the picture of one cat, like circle the group of one cat. He did that. He drew his beautiful self-portrait over here, and then I wrote his name again so we could go over his name. There's a lot of just like coloring, and then just like a lot of like basic preschool stuff. Like this says circle the largest dog on the sheet, and then he has to identify the largest dog. This is matching colors and matching shapes. So he knows his shapes, he knows his colors. We're literally just working on, at this point, his letters. Sometimes he likes to color. He's a beautiful colorer over here. But it's just nice to see him able to like circle things and like draw lines and draw X's. Like this said, circle the largest item in each row. So he has to learn concepts like and understand concepts like largest and smallest. And then I'm also working with him, which he's made a lot of progress on, is like learning to identify the numbers. So when we started this curriculum, he really didn't know, like he knows how to count. He counts like almost up to 20, but he doesn't know, like he didn't know what the number 1 looked like or what the number 2 looked like. So that's something that I've been working with him on, and at this point it's something that he's definitely grasping. So we've gotten through, I think, 7 lessons. You see, this is another thing that he did this week that was like circle the glasses that are full and then put an X on the ones that are empty. So very just basic concepts like that he is working on with me. So he does his workbook pages, and then in the teacher's guide also I'll tell you what to do for each of the worksheets, but there is also a Bible lesson, so you can like read the little Bible lesson from here. There's a memory verse that you can do. I'm not really doing that with him just yet. I kind of skipped through some of the stuff. Some of the stuff I'm like, yes, I'd like to do with him. Other things I don't. Like they'll tell you songs that you can sing to them and different activities. There's like a little creative cooking section here. Like for one of the lessons, it was like make chocolate chip cookies. Don't put the chocolate chips in the batter. Instead, once the batter's on the cookie sheet, ask the students to put the chocolate chips on the dough before baking. Tell them to put 1 through 5 chips on each cookie. So like counting, like it gives you ideas like that, which is actually really fun if you're not a super creative person on your own. Like there's a lot of good ideas of things that you can do in your everyday life, but to make them educational. So that's like his curriculum. That's like the main thing that I am using for him. My biggest goal just being learning his letters, like I keep saying. So for that, what I think he's going to respond the best to is more like toy-based kind of stuff. So in addition to the workbook pages, what I bought him to kind of help him start learning his letters are like some books and some toys. I'll show you these, and again, these are all gonna be linked down below, but this one I bought a while ago. He's really into Paw Patrol, so this is like a Paw Patrol Pop-It book, and it's got all the different letters. So, you know, like these annoying little books that make the sound, but it's got all the letters and it's got all the Paw Patrol things. So he's like this one, and this one he likes even more, because once this one wasn't really like helping him register the letters, I was like, let's, I don't know, up the ante, let's make things more exciting. So I got this one that has all of the letters, and then this one also has like a page with like all different things that start with A, all things that start with B, so he can trace them. And then it also has like the sounds. So eventually it will, like if you press on it, it'll say the letter name. I wish that's all it said, but it also goes through like everything else that sounds with, like that starts with the same letter. But I do feel like he's responding really well to this book. So now he'll get excited. Sometimes he'll say, I want to bring my ABC book in the car, and he'll go and he'll look through it and he'll press it. So I have hope that eventually, you know, he'll get there. Eventually he'll start to recognize more and more letters. So we've got that. And then probably the most exciting thing I bought him, because I was like, let's up the ante again. Like, let's see what else I can get him that will keep his attention, that'll help him with his letter recognition. I got him this magnetic set of alphabet cars, or trains, or whatever you want to call them. These are like magnetic little trains, and you know, Jackson is like just obsessed with cars. So this has been something that he's been really excited to use. So sometimes he'll play with these on his own, and he'll get his train tracks out, and he'll like, you know, make a long train. And then as he's doing that, I can be like, okay, that's H, that's G, that's X. Or I'll say, can you point to the letter X? Can you point to the letter O? Sometimes I'll just have the basket here and I'll say, can you find me the letter B? So things like that I can do with him. The other thing that we've been focusing on, since we've been focusing on writing his name in his workbook, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just like build a train in his name. So like I'll find all the letters of his name. It'll take me forever to do this. But you guys have like the idea, right? I'll write Jackson with all of the little trains. And then I'll say, this is the Jackson train. And like, can we point to J? Can we point to A? So working with him in like the ways that he gets excited about, like that seems to be what he responds the best to. Sometimes he's really into the workbook, sometimes he's not. So that's when I'm like, okay, well, we'll learn something through the cars. Like the other day, I did a really cute activity with him where I took magnet tiles, because he likes to like make roads with the magnet tiles. And magnet tiles you can use dry erase markers on. So I took dry erase markers and I wrote like on each of the little squares, like on some of the squares I would write the number 1, on some of them I would write the number 3. And so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a lot of the different magnet tiles, and he was playing with his little cars on the road, and I was like, can you drive to the number 1? Can you drive to the number 2? Can you drive to the number 3? And so that helped him with his number recognition. So finding games like that that we can do together, that's really what this year is going to be about. Finding ways for him to learn just through playing. And then if we can go through his workbook at least once a week, that would make me really happy. I also want him to work on his like gluing skills and his cutting skills. I also have this little workbook that he's used a handful of times to just like cut things and glue and paste. He's actually gotten really good at cutting and gluing. Same idea in terms of like the art supplies. I have the art supplies here. It actually needs to be organized yet again, because since the kids have access to it, it becomes, you know, destroyed and unorganized. He knows that he can access some of the paper and like the safety scissors, and so sometimes he'll be like, I want to do an activity. So I have stickers there that he'll use sometimes, and then I have like these little shapes that are already like cut out, and he can glue them on paper, and so that just helps him learn, like, you know, don't empty the entire glue bottle. If you need to glue something, just put a little dot. And then like the hand-eye coordination of gluing stuff onto a paper. And then I have a couple other very basic workbooks if throughout the year we get to the point where like his curriculum, like there's only 40 lessons, right? So if we get through all the 40 lessons and we need more workbook stuff to do, every once in a while I'll just like pick up these preschool workbooks that are very simple. Like this one does colors, and then like which one is different, which is the same, those kinds of concepts. And I just keep them for those rainy days when we just need something to do. If he ever gets to the point where I see like, I don't know, maybe he's ready to do some more writing practice, this is another workbook that's good. That's literally just tracing. So that's something that eventually they have to learn how to trace letters, and then eventually how to form letters. So I keep a lot of stuff like that. So that we can kind of like assess. Like I continually go assessing throughout the year, where are my kids at? What do they need? Where do they need to be challenged? What do they need more practice of? And so when I see good resources like that, I'll just kind of keep them. And then every once in a while I'll be like, okay, Riley's ready for this, let's use this. Or Jackson's ready for this, let's pull this out. I also found these little whiteboards at the Dollar Tree. Not sure if they still have them, but this was like a great little find. These Dollar Tree whiteboards that they can go practicing. Like Riley can use this more than Jackson at this point. And then for Jackson too, sometimes I'll find stuff on Pinterest, like, you know, I don't know, learn ABCs or ABC chart, whatever, Google all of the things, Pinterest all the things. But this was like a little ABC chart that I printed out and I laminated for him. I thought maybe we could do like a cute little like ABC bingo, so that as he goes learning more and more of his letters, this is a way for us to practice. I can pull this out, and then I have like random little scraps of paper, and I can say put the paper on the letter O, and then he can find the O, and then we cover the O, like, you know, stuff like that. I just liked it because it was like really colorful, and it had like a bunch of animals and stuff. And then this is something that I used at the very beginning when I started introducing letters to him. I also found these ABC roads. This is from a website called prekinders.com, so maybe check them out, see if, you know, they have more resources. But I saved these all to my computer, and I thought, again, maybe a way for him to get excited about the letters, because then he can take his cars that we have all over the house and like drive them, you know, like on the road. So there are plenty of resources. You just kind of have to find them and search for them, seek them out. But hopefully this gives you a couple ideas of things that you can do with your little ones. Again, homeschool this year is very chill for us. I feel like the kids are at a good place. With Jackson, I feel like I have time to get him to where he needs to be for kindergarten. Look at my kids screaming. And then for Riley too, I feel like she's ahead in terms of her curriculum just because we kept going through the summer. I do typically get a lot of questions when I share homeschool stuff like on Instagram. Like people will be like, well, if you only spent an hour or two, you know, doing workbook stuff, then what do you do the rest of the day with the kids? And for us, every day is different. Like sometimes we go on outings, sometimes the kids play outside, sometimes the kids help me with whatever I'm cooking or baking. We do a lot of like stuff like that together. I hope to getting around this fall to putting together even like a small garden here in Florida. This is gonna be my first year trying to garden in Florida, but that's something that they've learned through in the past. Like when we were in Virginia, we had our nice garden. So a lot of hands-on stuff like that. Watching documentaries, like I had said before, there's like always some kind of educational show on the TV for them. For Spanish, we're also gonna be doing more of the language learners, which I shared with you guys before. It's like a YouTube channel called Language Learners, and it's like this lady that teaches them, like she's like, you know, a Spanish teacher, blippy kind of lady, but they liked Miss Joanna, so they'll do that. And then they also are gonna be joining a co-op. It's going to be once a week, so that's going to be like their once a week time to engage with like other kids, and they'll play. It's actually a pretty long day. It's like from 9 to 12, but then after that they also go to the park and play. And then at some point I may look into putting them into some kind of like extracurricular activity, but I just don't want anything that's going to be like super, I don't know, stressful. I don't want to like overcommit myself to like too many things. So right now we're gonna just stick to the once a week co-op. They still have their cousin that they see often. We go to Mimi's house often, we go to my mom's house. There's a pool there, the kids will swim. And then they just like help me around the house and they watch me do chores. And now they're gonna have their little brother that they're also gonna be playing with and entertaining. So they will have plenty to do. But I just say that so you guys know, like my homeschool days are very chill. My homeschool days at this point in the kids' schooling are not super structured. They're not super long. They vary every day. But as long as the kids are learning and progressing, then that makes me happy. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that, I don't know, this was helpful in some way. Remember, I will have as much of this stuff linked in my description box as I can. Check out my Amazon storefront because that's kind of like one place where I have a bunch of stuff. And if you have any questions, I'm not an expert, but I will try my hardest to get back to you. If there's anything you guys want to see here on the channel, let me know. I plan on filming a few at least, like day in the life of a homeschool mom, like what our homeschool day looks like. I did a few of those last year or the year before, so I'll try to like link that playlist that I have or link some of those videos so you can see what different, you know, days of homeschool have looked like in the past. That is it. I'm gonna go because the little one is about to get up and my kids, like at this point I can't even hear myself think anymore. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing the screaming kids in the background, but they've been pretend playing all morning and fighting also, but you know, they've been doing their thing, keeping themselves entertained. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I love your faces. Please stick around if you're new. Like I said, I'll do my hardest to share more of this kind of stuff with you if that's what you're into. But thank you for being here. I love your faces. Make sure to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.